The Varieties of Religious Experience by William James. Science can be a poor substitute for the religious life. When things fall apart, when all is lost and despair comes knocking at your door, then pure reason alone falls short as a way of comfort. Nietzsche's hunch that the death of God, the demise of faith in a higher power throughout society and its subsequent replacement with a godless science would trigger an existential crisis beyond measure might have some truth to it. As we ripped away the foundation of our traditional way of being and killed God, we still kept the morals and we act like he's still around. This creates for an itching cognitive dissonance, and an existential crisis is imminent. Man needs belief in a higher order, a sense of being part of a greater whole for a harsh and cold world to make sense. Science as a replacement for this higher power can be a pathetic substitute when the unthinkable happens, when you get diagnosed with an incurable disease or when you lose a child. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and this is the place where we bring you the best book recommendations when it comes to philosophy, psychology, human nature and human potential. And today we're taking a closer look at The Varieties of Religious Experience, the 1902 classic from William James. And William James, in this book, he is a philosopher and psychologist, and he takes a look at the value of religious life judged from a view of the individual's personal experience and judges it by its results only. The religious experiences in this case is not tied to any specific religions or nothing of that sort, but it's looked at in a much broader sense as experiences of transcendence. And William James, he defines the religious experience like this, quote, "The feelings, acts and experiences of individual men so far as they apprehend themselves to stand in relation to whatever they may consider divine." One of the defining traits of the religious is the religious attitude. This is a belief in an unseen order of things and a higher supreme good, and to adjust one's life to live according to this belief. And as a result of the religious attitude, we get a psychological phenomenon that William James calls healthy-mindedness. Quote, "The tendency to look on all things and see that they are good." End quote. This is an attitude where you focus on the good, ignore evil, or reinterpret your experience in a positive light. Quote, "Positive thinking is an inlet to the divine." End quote. This book talks a lot about the value of a positive attitude and how your internal state can affect your external experience. And it got me thinking about a period that I experienced quite recently, which was characterized by relentless positivity, and I had high confidence, and it was almost in a magic-like fashion how events turn out and what kind of opportunities came my way. I wouldn't say I'm convinced, but I feel there's like some connection with how we frame our reality and the outcomes we have. A subject that is very interesting to me. Unfortunately, it's very hard to maintain such a high state of positive attitude for a long period of time, but I definitely think there's some interesting things going on there, and science might not have had the last word on that topic yet. Religion treated as a purely subjective phenomenon and without regard to the truth of those beliefs leads William James to conclude that, quote, "We are obliged to account of their extraordinary influence upon action and endurance to class them among the most important biological functions of mankind. Their stimulant and anesthetic effects are so great that so long as man can use their God, they care very little who is or even if he is at all." End quote. So I guess that the question if gods exist is a question that is more urgent to get answers for the faithless rather than the religious. Quote, "If he proves himself useful, then the religious consciousness asks no more than that." End quote. And William James concludes that a larger, richer and more satisfied life in the final analysis is the end of religion. Maybe Adopting a religious attitude might be the single most important thing one can do. I mean, if you go around living your days happy and contented with what is, striving for what's good, showing gratitude, then how could you fear death or have any regrets? You have absolutely nothing to lose in a very positive sense. It's an idea worth pondering. It's a quite dense book. It's thick. It's not the easiest read in the world. But I'm glad I got to this book. It's a book that I've heard a lot about. I've seen it referenced and quoted in countless books over the years, and now I finally got to it and I didn't regret reading it. It talks about religious experiences from a lot of different angles, more than I can cover in this review. It talks about mysticism, saintliness, different kind of aestheticism. It covers a lot of ground actually. It's not for everyone, but if you're interested in the kind of the topics I've covered in this review, then have a look. Maybe it's worth to read. Other books that I'm reading at the moment are this is a palette cleanser book, I call it, because it's very different from what I usually read. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Not really related to the topics we cover here on the channel, but sometimes you need something totally different. And then I'm super impressed by this book, Straw Dogs, Thoughts on Humans and Other Animals. This is a brutal attack on liberal humanism. It's a crazy book, and I will do an extended review of this sometime very soon, because that's what I do. Every Thursday I put out reviews of the best books money can buy, hopefully, and recommend them because I want more people to pick up books. And if you want to help the channel, press the like button, subscribe, share it. It really helps me reach more people with great books. I'm back next Thursday, same time, same channel, with more book reviews. Until then, Björn out.